Talk Nerdy to Me. I'm Yoshi Derp. I'm here with DeAngelo from Geek Lyfe, and we're going to talk nerdy to you. So, DeAngelo, uh, being a person of color and everything, how has that really affected you with, the geek community and like cosplay community and everything like that?
Yeah, so being a person of color is already difficult in itself because it's just like a whole bunch of stigmas come along with it, from first perceptions, just living in America and all that kind of stuff. But
Oh, of
it
course.
adds a whole other depth when you go into a niche community like the geek community, because it's an even smaller community that normally is dominated by a lot of Caucasian males, for example. And
Very
uh,
true.
yeah, thankfully, like as our generation has kind of come into the mix, anime and comic books and all these different things are beloved by more people, not even just men, but also women and everything. So things have gotten a lot more progressive. But even still, being in the geek realm, it's been very difficult because when we were first starting out, or even when I was first starting out way back in the day, no one would want to talk to me. No one would want to, like, they kind of like, shy me away or anything like that. And it was a very big emphasis on skin tone because I could be sitting next to someone who has, less viewers and like not as good content, not as good equipment and all that kind of stuff. And they ask the person for an interview, and then I ask the person for an interview, and they get a yes and I get a no. And we have everything, the same or I have better, except for like the skin tone thing. So you kind of pick up on certain things that are just weird. And it sucks to say that, but it's something that you just kind of like, you grow with thick skin. And it's anyone, if it's not just people of color, but it's also people from the LGBT community and even like women, for example, have to go through all these sort of various levels of discrimination. But being a person of color has made it more difficult, but at the same time, every victory is like sweeter than normal because you knew that it was like a great uphill battle and you were able to accomplish
Oh,
a lot.
definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's really cool that you're so passionate about that because a lot of people just kind of brush it under the rug and act like
Yeah.
nothing's really happening. But, I've seen your Instagram and everything. I've seen the posts you make, and it's so great to see someone that's like outspoken about this for
Yeah.
once. And, it's great that you're bringing that to light. And I
Yeah.
just want to, I don't know, like all the backup that people can get from you and everything like that. And the
Yeah.
fact that, you're a big influencer and stuff, and you're giving these people a chance to kind of be outspoken through you in a
Yeah.
sense and making progress. And that's what we need right now is some progress. And it's just
Yeah, for sure.
uplifting to see that happening right now. Well, can you tell me about Geek Life? Like, I know you're passionate about that, but like, what is Geek Life about? Like, what do you guys have going on? How did it
Yeah.
start?
Yeah, so it actually started back in 2012 when I was had immense anxiety, and I found out about like this one cosplayer that was wildly popular at the time, and she was going to be at Phoenix Comic Con, and I'd never gone to Phoenix Comic Con before. I never, let alone, had driven into like downtown Phoenix. But I was like, I really appreciate this cosplayer. I really want to go see her in person and get to meet her. So I like gathered up all my courage and everything, spent a ton of time trying to navigate through downtown Phoenix. And if you're not from the local area, downtown Phoenix is one of the only areas that isn't a grid system because the rest of Arizona pretty much is like a very easy grid
So
system.
confusing down there.
Yeah, and it's like, kind of like a mini New York or a mini LA sort of thing where things just don't make sense and there's one way streets and all that. So tons of anxiety. I ended up making my cosplay, my one and only cosplay that I worked really, really hard on, spent like $250, and like it smelled like stench of spray paint. I can still remember it and everything. It was still very like sticky and all that. So anyways, I go all the way to the convention and I get to see her at her booth, and the my interaction with her was unfortunate. It wasn't the best experience, and I was super bummed out about it. So I was like moping around, walking around, ended up seeing this other cosplayer, and she was like, "Hey, here's my wares," and then was like, "Oh, you were actually like down in the dumps. What happened?" And she took the time to actually hear me out and like talk to me. And I was like, "Oh shit, you actually give, you care about me." So I like was really excited, and everything was a bounce back. And then my eyes kind of opened where there was this cosplayer who was a person of color, and her booth wasn't filled with people. Like her stuff was really, really good, and yet she was overlooked. And not only that, but when I walked down the halls of the convention, through the artist alleys and the cosplayers and all that kind of stuff, there was a huge difference between the level of attention that people of color were getting, or even LGBTQ people were getting, as opposed to like Caucasian, white type A body, females, males.
Mhm.
And at that point I was like, man, how do I not know about these people? They do amazing work. Like someone should write about this. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I should probably do that. And then I like, went home, got on Blogger, started my own thing, and then started just like typing away. And then sure enough, I just kept going and going and going, and it grew from then because people started recognizing it. It was like, hey, out of all the people that I've ever reached out to, the Geek Life's the one that reached out to me and really appreciates my work and hyped me up, and they asked for nothing in return. And that's been the story on repeat. And then we just kept like gradually growing and growing to the point where it's now like a positive force in the community. And we're
Oh yeah.
trying to, like you said, bring more progressiveness into this community that we used to be very like typecast and everything. So, and it's been going well ever since. Yeah. So it's been good.
You know, that's great to hear, especially because with you doing stuff like that, it kind of opens up doors for people that feel like they're limited by either their skin color, their gender, or, their sexual orientation as to whether or not they can do certain cosplays or anything like that. So you opening up that door for, people of color or, people of certain sexual orientation or anything like that.
Yeah.
It gives them so much hope, and it like makes it so much more fun for them because, it's like, if I want to do Starfire, I brought this up in a past interview, I'm going to rock that little mini skirt and orange skin. I don't care. Exactly. But, it shouldn't matter.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, that's great. Do you guys have any like upcoming events that you're going to be doing with Geek Life?
Yeah. So one event that's kind of escalated quite a bit was one that is for Latinx in gaming, which is an amazing organization where they try to bring more representation to the Latinx community. Because for right now in the geek community, the like Black nerds and the Black culture is getting a lot of hype and a lot of attention, which is well deserved and awesome. But we're also trying to find a footing for the Latinx side, but it's very difficult because there's not, when you think of Latinx, you don't feel any names that come to mind. And we're like, so it's really under the radar. So Latinx in gaming is really trying to put everything together to help, indie content creators and streamers, band together and rise up, which is really, really cool. So they're having an event.
That is really cool.
Yeah. So they're having an event called Unidos Online, which is taking place from, I believe, October 9th to the 12th. And for Hispanic Heritage Month, it's being streamed like at the front page of Twitch. And
what?
So it gets like a bunch of hype. So where I come into this is that I had like told them like, hey, I love everything you guys are doing. If you guys ever like need tabletop RPGs, I dungeon master for Dungeons and Dragons all the time and everything. And they're like, yeah, we loved it. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, we would love to do that. We have no Latinx dungeon master, so go ahead and do that. So I was like, oh, awesome. But I didn't know at the time the amount of like hype that it had. So they prepped me to be like, listen, just to let you know, this is probably gonna be the front page Twitch. Nothing's official yet, but there's gonna be like, so be prepared for thousands upon thousands of viewers. And I was like, oh shit. And then, and I had chosen to run not Dungeons and Dragons, but a system called Kids on Bikes, which is an amazing system that focuses on adventures like Stranger Things or or, all of that sort of stuff. Just like kids in a small town on bikes, and then the paranormal happens. So,
that sounds like it's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, it is. So I'm going to take it and put it in Phoenix, Arizona, and in 2002. And I've gathered my crew together. It's really, really awesome. I'm super excited for it. Everyone's like stoked. We've been having practice sessions every weekend for it. So we're hoping that when the time comes, we'll be able to like do a great job, because apparently there's going to be a ton of viewers. So that'll be an amazing time to let people of color shine, because the entire cast is are Latinx or from the Black community and everything like that. So it's like an amazing opportunity for sure. Yeah.
That's going to be so cool. And you definitely have Weeby team here to support you too. Like, we're going to be there on that stream. We're going to make sure, let's make sure we get this like on our page and everything too. So we'll do whatever we can to support. And just the Kids on Bikes sounds so fun though. Like, it's different. I'm used to like, you're either like an elf, orc, something like that. Yeah. And, having something that's not only different that people can watch, but then, like you said, it's like people of color that are doing it, and you're bringing more power to that movement through Twitch. Yeah. And this is why I love Twitch, because they're able to, give strength to a really important thing going on right now. And it's almost behind the scenes. And this is now going to be hopefully front page. So I have my fingers crossed for you. You're going to make it happen. You're going to kill it.
Thank you. Yeah.
Of course. Well, that's all the time we have for right now. We are going to do a part 2 though. So make sure you guys tune in. This was Talk Nerdy to Me with DeAngelo, and we'll be right back.